Men, do you think that terrible revenge is when she, in a fit of hysteria, scratches your beloved car with a key, or when she slams the door and leaves for her mother's, taking the TV and the cat with her? Oh, you should thank civilization and the criminal code, because in the past, for a careless word, you could end up drinking tea with a surprise and waking up in a cemetery. As the wise Fina Ranevskaya used to say, the weaker sex is like rotten planks. If you push a woman to the boiling point, her imagination turns into a weapon of mass destruction. Today, we're going to take off our rose-colored glasses and examine 11 wild, terrifying, and ingenious ways women of the past sent their offenders to the next world. The anatomy of female anger in all its glory. Keep impressionable husbands away from the screen. Let's go. Fact number 1. Aqua Tofana, the perfect Italian-style divorce. Picture this, 17th century Italy. The husband is a domestic tyrant and divorce simply doesn't exist. What does a woman do? Cry by the window? Not a chance. She goes to the lovely Signora Giulia Tofana and buys some harmless women's face powder. It's funny, but just a drop of that powder in her husband's morning soup, and a week later the widow is ordering a lavish funeral. This tasteless, odorless poison sent more than 600 husbands to the next world. That's pure fate taking a sharp turn. Today he's yelling at you, and tomorrow you're trying on a mourning veil. From a psychological perspective, that's repressed aggression. If a woman is denied a voice, her anger becomes invisible but absolutely deadly. Ladies, confess in the comments. Have you ever, in a fit of anger, oversalted your husband's borscht or taken revenge in a more elegant way? Write in, we're all friends here. Fact number 2. Roman mushroom soup for the emperor. Ancient Rome. Empress Agrippina was deadly tired of her husband, Emperor Claudius. Do you think she nagged him or smashed plates? Oh please, this isn't a communal apartment in Moldavanka. She showed incredible care and cooked him a delicious dish of porcini mushrooms. Granted, she generously seasoned them with the juice of a deathcap mushroom. Claudius ate, praised his wife for her culinary talent, and promptly departed to the ancestors. A sharp twist. Care became a weapon of murder. The moral here is as simple as can be. Beware of sudden changes. If your wife hasn't gone near the stove for years and after a big argument suddenly brings you an exotic candlelit dinner, call for pizza delivery. Men, write in the comments right now, are you often scared by sudden affection from your wife after a quarrel? Do you sense a trap? Fact number 3. Reporting to the Inquisition by someone else's hands. The Middle Ages. You couldn't get a divorce and poison was expensive. But why dirty your beautiful hands with blood when there's a powerful state apparatus? Offended but very clever wives would write anonymous denunciations to the Holy Inquisition. My dear husband reads strange books at night, doesn't cross himself, and mutters in Latin. That's it. A couple of days later, some grim men in hoods would come for the husband, while the wife remained inconsolable and absolutely innocent in the eyes of the law. Genius-level treachery. This is the archetype of the trickster, using someone else's destructive power against your enemy. A woman resorts to cold calculation when she realizes she can't win in open combat. Girls, be honest, who among you has ever skillfully set up an offender so that no one even guessed where it came from? Share your experiences in the comments. We need this masterclass. Fact number 4. Powder for inheritance. Welcome to prim Victorian England. Ladies in tight corsets would faint at the mere sight of a mouse, and these same delicate creatures affectionately called arsenic inheritance powder. Funny? But for husbands it was no laughing matter. Wives would methodically rub arsenic grain by grain into shirt collars or add it to the evening tea. The symptoms perfectly mimicked cholera. The tyrant would slowly waste away while society pitied the poor caregiver wife. The shocking part is that these women were not maniacs. They were cornered victims for whom murder became the only social ladder. When all exits are blocked, a cold-blooded executioner awakens within a woman. Girls, have you ever felt so hurt that you just wanted to grind someone into dust? How did you deal with it? Share in the comments. Psychotherapy in action. Fact number 5. The Spanish collar. Revenge with a spark. Let's travel to passionate Spain. The husband cheated. What does a fiery Spanish woman do? Pack her bags? Not at all. She waits until this philanderer comes home in the early morning and falls into a deep sleep. Then she takes a sturdy thread and needle and sews his shirt tightly to the mattress. And when he wakes up and can't move, she grabs a good club. Absurd scene? But oh, how effective it is. As they say in Odessa, Sema, don't get on my nerves. There are plenty of people who can ruin them, but I'll be the one doing the beating myself. This is direct confrontation. Unlike poisons, here the woman takes responsibility for her anger and returns the pain to its source in full. Men, admit it in the comments after hearing this story. Who among you now wants to sleep only naked? Scary, isn't it? Fact number 6. The curse on lead. An ancient discharge. Ancient Greece. A wife was cheated on. You couldn't go to a psychologist. They hadn't been invented yet. So the offended lady would take a lead tablet and scratch the most horrific things onto it. For example, let everything that makes him a man wither away and let him be covered in pimples. Then this tablet would be pierced with a rusty nail and buried in a cemetery. Funny ritual, isn't it? But the point is, it worked not because of magic, but because of psychology. A woman would channel her pain and rage in an eco-friendly way into a piece of lead, close the gestalt, and go on enjoying life, while her husband would nervously scratch himself from the power of suggestion. Ladies, how many of you have written long, angry letters to someone who hurt you and then burned or tore them up? Does it help, or is it not enough? I'm waiting for your answers in the comments. Fact number 7. Poisonous gloves. Luxury that kills. The French court. Intrigue, lavish balls. Catherine de' Medici elevated revenge to the level of high art. Her unfaithful favorites or rivals would receive an amazing gift as a sign of reconciliation. Gloves made of the finest leather. How sweet, right? Except the leather was soaked in toxins. The person would put on this beautiful gift, the poison would be absorbed through the pores, and in a couple of weeks the victim would simply fade into oblivion. Wrapping death in velvet and lace, that's a distinctly feminine twist. Smiling to your face, showering you with compliments, and slowly destroying you. There's a terrifying wisdom in this. The greatest danger always hides behind the most beautiful wrapping. Gentlemen, can you tell the difference between a genuine woman's smile and a predatory grin? Write in the comments, has your intuition often failed you when faced with a beautiful facade? Fact number 8. Princess Olga's fiery birds. A classic that still chills the blood to this day. The Drevlians brutally kill Princess Olga's husband. It seems like a woman should break down, but with a sweet smile, she asks her husband's killers for a strange tribute, just 3 pigeons and 3 sparrows from each household. The naive enemies breathe a sigh of relief, and then shock. They tie smoldering tinder to the birds' legs, the birds fly home, and the entire city burns to the ground. Jung called this the awakening of the dark mother archetype. It is that primal force within a woman that can burn down the whole world if her family is threatened. Never underestimate a woman who has nothing left to lose. Girls, do you feel that fiery power inside you, ready to obliterate anyone for the sake of your loved ones? Write in the comments who you would also burn for the protection of your family. Fact number 9. The Pirate Queen. Mastering fear. China, 19th century. The former prostitute Zheng Shi becomes the wife of the leader of a massive pirate fleet. Her husband dies. It would seem she should just return to shore and weep. But instead she pulls off a clever move and takes control of a fleet of 2,000 ships into her own hands. And she didn't just rule, she imposed the strictest code. Any man who dared to defy her or harm a female captive would lose his head right there on the deck. She transformed from a night butterfly into the most fearsome pirate in human history. This is the perfect integration of inner masculine strength. She became tougher than any man in order to survive. Ladies, do you often have to turn on your inner Iron Man at work or at home? How do you cope with that? Share in the comments. Does it feel hard to carry everything on your own? Fact number 10. Hat pins. Poke away for your own good. The early 20th century. Women finally start riding public transport on their own. And immediately, there are those who take advantage of the crowds to get handsy. How to protect yourself? The solution is shockingly simple. Huge hats come into fashion, fastened to hair with steel pins up to 30 centimeters long. If some creep pressed up against a lady on the tram, she could simply, with a slight movement of her head or hand, jab that pin right into his side. The police were in a panic. Newspapers screamed about the danger, while women smiled sweetly and kept poking perverts. The conclusion: if society doesn't protect women, women turn fashion into a weapon. My body, my rules. Girls, admit it, sometimes you really wish you had such a long pin in today's minibuses. Write in the comments if any of you have ever physically fought back against creeps. Fact number 11. The Icy Vacuum. Deadly silence. And finally, the wildest and most destructive weapon, one that leaves no marks on the body: boycott. A woman would simply stop talking to her husband if he misbehaved. She would do the laundry perfectly, cook him 3 meals, but look right through him as if he were made of glass. A day, 2, a month, a year. Men would climb the walls, start drinking, go insane from this torture. Do you think this is harmless? Science has proven, for the human psyche, total ignoring is equivalent to social death. The brain perceives it as physical pain. This is the pinnacle of female passive aggression, to kill a person without laying a finger on him. Men, a tricky question. Which is worse for you, when your wife smashes plates and screams like a siren, or when she silently sets down the plate and leaves for another room? Share your fears in the comments. Phew, well, my dear ones, let's take our hats off to female ingenuity. We live in a comfortable age. We don't need poisons, lead tablets, or peons to prove our worth or to get out of toxic relationships. Today we have a voice, the right to divorce, and personal boundaries. As the incomparable Jvanetsky once said, life is short and you have to know how. You have to know how to leave a bad movie, put down a bad book, and walk away from a bad person. Don't bottle up that Aqua Tofana inside you. Don't turn into an ice-cold monster. Allow yourself to be angry in a healthy way. Talk about your feelings with your mouth, not through borscht with a surprise. If this video made you smile and feel a little nervous, give it a big like, send it to your girlfriends as a history guide and to your husband as a gentle hint about serious circumstances. Subscribe. Take care of yourself, your nerves, and your men.